Hi guys, hope everyone is doing well. Today I've got a very interesting item which I've just picked up this afternoon. It is a Holtzapffel lathe by John Jacob Holtzapffel, who came to England in 1785 and established a engineering tool business in London in 1793. And I bought a wonderful machinist lathe made by him, which was sold in the 27th of August 1846 for the sum of £137 16 guineas. And in 1846 the average salary in the UK for 1 year was £20. So if you get the idea, it's almost 8 times someone's yearly salary to buy this lathe. And it was sold in 1988 for the sum over £6,000. And it was sold in Chester in 1998 for over £6,000, and it attracted worldwide bidding from the US. And it was restored in 1991. And this plate, which you can freeze frame, has more information about it. But this is Holtzapffel made tools. And I do happen to have one Holtzapffel 1840s adjustable spanner. And it is the finest tool for that age you can imagine. The steel is extremely high quality steel, and every surface is beveled, shaved, to make it exquisite. And this is an extremely rare spanner. I do have a small hammer, which is also a very similar fine chamfered tool, and I have a set of calipers with a brass center nut, also inside outside calipers, also made by Holtzapffel, owned by LM at some point. So I've found 3 tools on my travels, Holtzapffel. The finest tool I've come across is this wonderful Holtzapffel 1840s spanner. There's only 2 of those, I believe, known in the world. There's one in the US. But anyway, very interesting. But anyway, I bought a wonderful lathe, which is absolutely fantastic piece, and I'm going to show it you now. I think it's probably the finest tool I've ever managed to purchase. Also, I think the heaviest I've ever purchased. It was quite some weight getting it here, but I've literally just got it, so I'll show you what's in the drawers because it's full of tools, and the actual lathe itself. But I just think it's amazing to see a lathe which is 180 years old, and look at the quality. All right, let's take a look. Right guys, so this is the item itself. It's an extremely fine lathe made out of brass, steel, mahogany and ivory. The handles on the drawers are ivory. It's a treadle lathe, so you can push the wheel, and you can turn the cast iron wheel very smoothly, which then turns the headstock of the lathe itself. And remember, this lathe was made in 1841. I don't know if you can see how fine everything's hand engraved for all the measurements, and it's exquisite, absolutely exquisite. The headstock, you can adjust the nut, swivel the headstock in and out. Everything's engine turned, knurled. Very, very, very fine. It's a bit dusty because it's sat for many years, but you can see it's a very fine 180-year-old lathe, and it's exquisite. And I just think, and it's got the gearing mechanism up here, the gearing mechanism made from brass and steel, and I just think it's a wonderful item. I really, really do. It's exquisitely made. It's just hard to put into words how nicely made it is. So as I was saying, the handles themselves, they're all full of the original tooling, and you can see these are ivory handles, and they're exquisite. And the actual tools themselves are all Like, I think these are for making threads. So this is a number 1 thread, so it's probably the biggest. And then this one here is a number 3 thread, and it's obviously for knurling screws. This one, etc., goes on. This one is a number 1 or whatever, and it goes on and on and on. And then the next drawer with the ivory handles is the tooling. Now, some of these are Holtzapffel, but some other manufacturers. This one's a Fen, which is from 1840s, which I have some Fen wrenches, and some of them are Holtzapffel. You can see, I don't know if you can see, this is Holtzapffel anyway. You'll have to take my word for it. And then in the bottom drawer here, there's the headstock with the headstock items, the small tool, headstock. There is more. This is a big, long steel headstock holder with all the components. That's a big wooden key. Very, very fine, very interesting. And then up here we have hand tools. So it came with some hand tools. It's got this wonderful set of Holtzapffel calipers, or I don't even know some of these tools are for. This one here, I don't know if you can see, Holtzapffel, very early. And then a larger set of calipers, Holtzapffel calipers, a larger set, and a smaller set that's the same size as the one I showed you, which I've already picked up. And underneath here you can see the wonderful brass original fittings with the ivory handles. Here we've got more items which came with it, some for cutting threads, various different size brass rings and different items, handles, etc. Very nice. And then in this bottom drawer here we have more. We've got some of the leather to make the threaded wheel work to turn the lathe, but it's not attached currently. And obviously this was owned by a Clockmakers, because inside it has wonderful clock weights. So these must have been left over from jobs. I reckon this is made a watchmaker or a clockmaker's lathe. But I just think it's fantastic. I don't know what you guys think. The quality of it with the original handles and the original cast iron wheel. And I just think it's fantastic. It's got a stainless steel bed to the table, and it's just very, very nice quality with wonderful brass work and mahogany. And I just think it's an amazing thing. It just amazes me the quality of items which were made back in the day. I have to say it wasn't the cheapest item I've ever bought, but I think it's probably the finest item. I don't know what you guys think. And I do think it looks, I'm not sure what my wife thinks. She hasn't got home yet, but I do think it looks quite nice in my living room. I think it's a nice talking point. But you guys tell me what you think in the comments. Hopefully you enjoyed this quick video about this wonderful Holtzapffel 1846 lathe. All right, take care, bye.